Hi, this is Tom Needham, and you're listening to the Sounds of Film. And joining us on the program again is Haroula Rose. She's going to be talking about her latest film, All Happy Families. Harula's debut feature as a writer director, Once Upon a River, was one of the most anticipated films in Time magazine and in Filmmaker, winning 19 awards at over 40 festivals worldwide. Her songs can be heard in many TV series. She's also a musician and also in films and commercials. She's toured internationally and released three full length LPs as well as many remixes, singles, EPs through her own label. All Happy Families is an incredible movie. Just had a chance to watch it. It's a portrait of a family that's dysfunctional. It has two competitive brothers and their parents reuniting in their childhood home for an eventful weekend. Lots of secrets and airing out long-held resentments in the film. It's very funny. Harula, thank you so much for joining us today on the Sounds of Film to talk about All Happy Families, which will be playing in New York, I understand.
Yes. Hi, Thomas. It's nice to speak with you again. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I mean, man, this was a really entertaining film. Tell me about. I think one of the things that's different about this film is that this is completely an original story. And can you tell us a little bit about how you came up with the inspiration for All Happy Families?
Definitely, yes. So, my co-writer, Coburn Goss, is an actor, and we worked together on Once Upon a River. He was actually cast in quite a villainous role, I'd say. And he and I just really got along very well. And I could tell with his way of handling dialogue and direction, there was just this part of me that thought, oh, it'd be fun to write something together someday. And then obviously lockdown happened and we had some time to write, and we started exploring ideas and went from ideas of exploring masculinity and femininity and wanting to do something doable. So the idea of having it be primarily in one location, or I know there's a bunch of locations, but one central place and about characters and performance rather than all these other external things. We came up with this idea about a family going through a hard time and how do you show these themes through the characters. And we had a really good time writing it. And then it kind of flowed from there. You know, he's good friends with Michael Shannon, and he came on as an executive producer, and everyone we asked to cast them, like all the actors we wanted, just said yes, which was insanely fortunate and a very cool feeling. And we were off to the races.
It's amazing. You mentioned some of the people involved in this project, but a lot of them are well known. Tell me about some of the actors who are featured in the film and what it was like working with them.
Oh, for sure. So Josh Radnor plays Graham Landry. He's the lead role,
Yeah.
and Becky Ann Baker plays Sue, his mother, and they're on a kind of parallel trajectory. And the other brother is Rob Hubel. He is hilarious as the brother. And the dad is John Ashton, whom I've worked with before on Once Upon a River and absolutely adore. And he plays the dad. And then there's Chandra Russell and Ivy O'Brien, all these really amazing up and coming actors both in Chicago and elsewhere. And Josh and I go way back. I guess this ties back to music life very directly because we met because a song of mine was on How I Met Your Mother years ago. And a friend of mine happened to be at his house when he was playing that song on his speakers. And then she said, oh, you guys should meet. And we've been fast friends ever since and just always wanted to work together. We've worked on some music stuff together. And when Kobe and I were writing this, we thought of who could play these roles, and Josh was at the top of the list. So it was really cool when he read it, and then he called me and said, I'm into it. Let's do it. And Rob Hubel had already been cast, and he was excited about playing his brother. Um, Becky and John both said yes, and I all the supporting actors said yes. I don't know if I'm ever going to have an easier time casting a movie than this. It was really cool.
That is pretty cool. One of the things I've said before is that you're one of my favorites because you're both very talented in film and also in creating music. And music is a big part of this movie. You worked on it along with your husband, I believe. and really good stuff here. Tell me a little bit about the music in the film and why it serves such an important function.
Oh, thank you so much. That's really kind of you to say. Yes, Oliver Hill is my husband, and he composed a lot of the music and the songs. And Zach Ray, who's long been a dear friend and composer, also worked on the score. So Zach is in the band Death Cab for Cutie, and they have been having quite a year, and he's been touring a ton. So it worked out really well for them to kind of tag team the score, and then Oliver took care of the songs. So the opening titles. Um, we really wanted something that had that kind of vintage vibe, and Oliver has a band called Coco that has that sort of feeling, so he can just do that stuff in his sleep,
Oh wow.
honestly. And then it was really fun, all very organic. Like the song that comes in during the montage sequence, it's by Gabriel De Rosa. He's a Stones Throw artist and Brazilian talent. I saw him opening for Oliver's band Coco in LA, and I thought, bingo, that has to be the song. Like that's the vibe for this montage. I had some other stuff in there as temp, and it we couldn't afford it. And it was also like in that same kind of style. And then it just always ends up being better when you make something original, to be honest. I feel like it creates something that's it's more self-referential. It's not like, oh, I know this song from this other thing, but
Yeah, yeah.
it was really cool being able to make original songs. And then the end title song is something that Oliver and I wrote together. And it was when we were finishing when I was finishing editing the film, it was really trying to find a theme sonically that would work for the whole film that would kind of creep in and out. I don't know if you noticed that, but there's like a
Yeah.
similar toying around with those chords, and then it kind of wraps itself up in that song at the end called Little Joy.
Wow, a lot there that you just said. Tell me a little bit more about that opening song. I originally thought like, oh, I know this song. It's from the '70s, and I was trying to figure out which song it was. But you're saying that that's an original. Um, we,
Yeah, yeah. So that's definitely an Oliver OG song. He came up with it, and it really is just perfect. We really, I guess part of it was finding the right instruments for the whole score and tying that in as a character to the song so that it feels like this one, blanket of sound that makes sense for the whole film. And with a comedy, I'm sure you've heard this before, but that's actually more challenging
yeah.
because I think with drama you get so much license to use all these really cool, dreamy, echoey sounds and like a harp with pedals or whatever. But with a comedy, you kind of don't want to overstep and push it over the line and make it feel too light. And then also, we didn't want it to go to the dark side because there are some heavier matters going on in this film too. So ultimately, after playing around with instruments, it made sense that like the upright bass would be our main voice or character for the sound, and that kind of creeps in with all of the songs. Like definitely, the bass line is sort of a prominent piece.
So, is there going to be a soundtrack album available for this film?
I hope so. Oh my God, I am trying to figure that out right now. Sending it to a few labels, and with an independent project, there's a lot of work to do, and there's not like a huge team, but we are working on it. And it was so cool to have 30 Tigers release the Once Upon a River soundtrack on vinyl and also streaming a few years ago. So I hope that we can do the same thing with this. Otherwise, we'll figure out how to do it ourselves. I mean, I'm pretty DIY, and Oliver is too. So we'll
That's
definitely
cool.
figure it out. But we're sharing it with some labels too, and hope to get it out there really soon because I'm so proud of it. I feel like soundtracks and scores are ever since I was a kid, that's been the most exciting part of a movie to me.
Why is it the most exciting part? I mean, there's a lot of great things going on when you're making a film. I mean, I feel like I would feel that way, but I'm amazed to hear
I
that
don't
from
know.
you.
There's just I would always geek out on like why did they choose this song
Yeah,
and who
yeah.
is that artist and how did that happen, and it's just a really beautiful collaboration. As somebody who's played music my whole life, I feel it's so fulfilling to then be able to work with other people to bring this wholly new thing to
Mm.
light. And that also goes with having good music supervisors too. So I feel like there's just a really nice team on all of these projects, and everyone works so hard, and I'm just really proud of it. And it's really really fun. It comes in at the end usually, but I try to have some score and ideas about sonic palettes like in the early days. It's really fun seeing what a composer or a songwriter can come up with just off the script. So I really try to make it be a more holistic approach.
A lot of times people use temp tracks. Was there another film score that you were listening to or using for a while before you made the one that is used in the film?
Yeah, I tend to go to the same one often, which is sort of maybe embarrassing. I've used the same movie as temp score for a short that I made and for this. And it's John Bryan, Eternal Sunshine.
Oh, that's a good one.
They're very versatile pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really nice how the same themes get echoed and inverted, and it's really, I love that soundtrack and I love that movie so much.
Yeah. One of the films I kept on thinking about when I was watching this film was Squid and the Whale, dysfunctional family kind of thing. Were there movies of that kind of genre that that maybe you watched before writing this or making this film?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that whole subsection of movies that are about families are kind of my favorite. I think Noah Baumbach has a specific
Hmm.
genius in the way he writes those. I feel like I would even reference a lot of several of his movies, and definitely The Squid and the Whale, and then even going as far back as like Ed Burns and the Brothers McMullen, or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Little Miss Sunshine but less stylized. I just think they're so fun and relatable and grounded, but in a way that feels, I guess with these performances, I was really gifted in finding something that felt familiar but really original. It was actually hard to edit. I keep saying all of these. There were many great takes, and it was really cool to have that experience. So I keep wondering what those other filmmakers did on those movies that I love so much, that are like the seminal family dysfunction movies. You can tell a lot of stories with the same footage because they were just such great actors.
One of the things I notice a lot of times critics and writers um, kind of say these days when they see a film like yours, I don't know if they're saying it about yours, but you watch the movie and there's such great characters, and then people might be like, "This would make a great." Netflix series or something like that. Like I missed the time when a film could just stand on its own. You could present these characters and tell a good story, and it's wrapped up at the end. I think you do it in this one. But I was curious though. I mean, did you at all ever conceive that this could be a series? Because you have a great location, a good premise, and terrific characters. It seems like there's more stories that could be told with these people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, we didn't think about that. We've flirted with the idea, and it's come up at various festivals and Q&As and things where people are like, "Oh, I want to live with these characters more," and it's so flattering and really cool to think about that. And but I agree with you in the sense that it feels like it gets resolved, and I'm happy to hear you say that, because there's been some people who've said, "Oh, it feels like it doesn't resolve enough," and I just sort of feel like, well, real life doesn't always give you these neat, tiny, perfect bows at the end. So I felt very like this was a fulfilling ending, and if we were to give it some second different life, it would be amazing to go deeper on these characters. But I feel good about it being a standalone piece, and I think the one thing that has bummed me out is that when people say, "Oh, this is such a throwback or a slow burn or something," I don't know if I guess it's good that they say that on some level, and it's meant as a compliment, but I just kind of love these kinds of movies and want them to be made all the time, and
Yeah,
feel like it shouldn't be that hard. You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be like a unique thing or something that used to happen that doesn't happen anymore. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I do. And what do you think is the reason for that? Is it just the economics of movie making these days, or do you think there's some other reason?
Um, that's a great question. I've talked about this a lot with a lot of people, and I feel like it's probably some combo of both. I think it's also just like shorter attention spans, and
Hmm.
maybe people feel like if they're going to do something deeper, it has to be this like 6 episode limited series or something. I'm not really quite sure, but I really love making these kinds of movies, and we didn't need a giant budget to do it. It was just a lot of people who cared about the story, and I'm so grateful for that.
I'm glad you're doing it because I think there is a huge audience out there for people that do love these types of movies, and yours is unique. I could imagine that you probably had a lot of favorite moments making this film. Um, is there any scene though in particular that you're most proud of that maybe you could explain to our
Well,
audience? They haven't seen the film obviously, but
yeah, that's gosh, every scene becomes like your little baby, But
mm,
I love the scene in the kitchen, which is the confrontation scene. That was really monumental and powerful. And once that felt like it arrived, so to speak, I felt really good about it. Like there's a lot being said on lots of levels all at once, and so that's really good. And then I always get emotional with um with Becky Ann Baker and Ivy at the kitchen table, Sue and Evie at the kitchen table towards the end. That's a really nice moment. And the rom com storyline, I am a real sucker for rom com. I should just like write one and make one because I really love their chemistry. They were just so fun to see bounce off each other, and I don't want to give away the ending, but it feels like a good, satisfying real life ending.
yeah. Can you tell me, you are from the Chicago area, is that correct?
I am, yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of this was shot right near where I grew up.
Okay. So, is this film at all like a personal film for you? Is there anything in any of these characters that represents something personal for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's some kind of composite that happens when you're reading something like this. Like I think I see a lot of myself in Sue, in Graham, in Becky and Josh's characters for sure, and I also see a lot of things that I've observed in other friends and people I know, and even my own family, their characters, and um, and just this idea of like coming of age at any age is really interesting and appealing to me because it's not like this is a coming of age YA film. It's definitely like these dudes in their 40s still figuring their lives out, and even the parents going through these changes and have a really lovely arc of hopefully waking up on his part.
Well, we talked a little bit about music, and I know that you're always writing music and recording music. Any plans in terms of your music career in the near future?
Yeah, so music is sort of salvation because movies forever and they do require a lot more people and financing and structure and planning. So music is just this beautiful um side hustle, but it's not a hustle, it's just so fun. And I guess it's convenient that Oliver is my husband, but we're coming out together on a label in the new year. And I also have a solo record that I made in Nashville with some of your friends last year, and I'm just trying to find the right moment to put it out, probably in spring. And I'm really excited about both of those things. And they're both coming out with their own little indie labels, and I just love it. Even when songs are being used in other things, I had a song in Love Is Blind, that show. That was fun. And some other show recently that was on Netflix that I have to finish still called The Brother's Son, with Michelle Yeoh. And I just love all the convergence of these things. I would love to finish a script I started writing that is about a musician trying to figure out her life. And I don't know, maybe the reason I haven't finished that one is because it's too personal. But I'll get there someday.
Well, I know there's a lot of people waiting to see that. That sounds intriguing. Well, your film is playing in New York, and people might be listening to this all over the country, in the world. Is there a place that people can go to learn more about what's going on in terms of this film and your music and everything like that online?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's I'm updating the website, like my website, and then so because this is a partnership via Freestyle and AMC, so it's coming out all over the country with AMC theaters on September 20th, and we're also in New York having a few screenings. We're the opening night film at the Soho International Film Festival, and that's on Tuesday at the Angelica. And then there's other specialty screenings coming up in other festivals around the country. But yeah, it's on AMC's website, and I'll have it on my website too. And The 20th to the 27th is our first week, and then possible holdover. And then also notable is that it's coming out on streamers and VOD and any terminology you want to use for home devices on October 18th.
Well, I know 100% our listeners would enjoy this film. It's moving, it's funny, it's well made, fantastic music as we discussed. So this is one I can guarantee that everyone listening is going to enjoy. Maybe you want to see it in theaters, maybe you want to stream it, but we're talking about All Happy Families. Highly recommended. Haroula, congratulations, and I wish you the best with this, and I can't wait to hear your music coming out in the near future.
Thank you so much, Thomas. I appreciate you.
Of course. Good luck with everything. Talk to you
Okay,
soon. Bye bye.
thanks. Bye bye.